One of the biggest mistakes I find people making is improperly setting up their canister filter. It actually is totally up to you how you do it, but if you do it the wrong way, it can definitely have a negative impact on your tank. So today, we're gonna talk about the right way to do it, and I've got it all laid out here for you. Let's take a look. So one of the most important things that you have to understand is with your piping, where is the water coming in and where's the water coming out? Now it's easily labeled here, but there's more to it. Once the water comes in, it's gonna go a certain direction and then it's going to come back up, go back out and back into your tank, and what it hits along that path determines how effective your canister filter really is. Okay, so here's what's inside your canister filter. Now, a lot of canister filters are gonna come with this media, but a lot of it's customizable. Let's talk about exactly what is going on with the water flow, starting with coarse mechanical. So mechanical filtration is just a fancy way of saying this is going to remove all the poop. It's going to remove all the heavy particles. This is like a really thick, pretty porous material, and this is gonna catch all the big stuff. Now, where we're headed is we're on our way to our biological filtration. That's where all the beneficial bacteria that's gonna keep your tank, water, and your fish healthy lives. Before we get there, we don't want to have all of that detritus, all of those big chunks hitting all of these little beneficial bacteria spheres. So we gotta get all that out of the way first. So we hit the big stuff with the coarse mechanical, then this would be considered medium. Okay, so medium mechanical, if you will. This is a little bit more dense, not quite as porous, and this is gonna catch all the stuff that makes it through this. Now, our water has been cleaned of the big stuff, and we're ready to head into the biological world. And in biological filtration, what you have is all of these little spheres. And on these spheres, then they can be any real material. They're made of different things, and I'll show you a couple examples. But on these spheres is where all that beneficial bacteria lives. And really what you want to focus on is surface area, right? Because it's not just around the tops or bottoms of the sphere, but it's also inside. Take a look at these. There are a lot of options here, guys. So don't get confused or intimidated by it. Just do some research, look into it. Just know that you can put any level or any type of biological filtration that you want in your canister. But when you're getting started, not a bad idea to just stick with what they give you. But in case you wanted to see some other options, here are some other options that we have. And these are obviously a lot bigger, a lot more surface area. The more surface area you have, the more beneficial bacteria that you get in your water. Okay, so now we've passed through biological, and now we're getting to chemical and fine filtration. This is the last part that the water passes through in your canister before it goes back into your tank. And there's a couple considerations here of what that's going to look like. Number one, do you have any odors in your tank? If you do, there's chemical filtration that you can put in that's going to help strip those odors out. Or maybe you've just medicated your tank and the fish are good and now you want that medication to get stripped out. If that's true, you've got a couple options here. ChemiPure, right here, this has activated carbon and resin in it. This is going to be sitting right here, right before the water. So something like this, whoops, something like this. The water is gonna come up through here. It's gonna hit all of this, hit one fine filtration here, and then go back out into your tank. That's an option. Also, something that you would use in the chemical filtration area might be Sicce Purigen. Looks like this. It's just an activated resin. What this is great for is stripping tannins. If you've just put a bunch of driftwood in your tank, like you see in these tanks over here, we've got spiderwood, we've got driftwood. When you put that in your tank in the beginning, you're going to get a lot of that brown water. Now, some people love it. I get it. It can make a really cool environment, maybe a really cool tint, but if you're not into it, that's okay too, all right? And if you want to get rid of those tannins, Purigen, ChemiPure, those are the types of chemical filtrations that will get those tannins out of the water. All right, now let's take a little bit of a broader view here, guys. We've got coarse to biological to chemical, and we know the types of media that go into each of those. And I want you to know that each of these areas of media, from the fine filter floss to the coarse mechanical, can all be purchased separately so that you can set up your canister how you want it once you understand how it all works. With that said, let's take a look inside one of these canisters and see what you can expect when you pick one up. Okay, so now I've got this Fluval 207 right here, and we're gonna take what we just learned about the order in which the media goes in your canister and see exactly how it comes in a canister filter that you can buy. And you'll notice when you pick up a canister filter that you will see that happen in each one, depending on the different styles. The one thing that will not change is the order in which the water flows. So let's take a look at it here. On this one, the water is coming in here and it's coming back out here and up into the tank, okay? So from the tank, back into the tank. From the tank, you'll notice it's hitting coarse mechanical and medium mechanical. So let's take that out and take a look at that. So right here, look familiar with what we talked about? Coarse mechanical, the water's coming down, it's hitting this, coming through here and hitting this. That's the exact equivalent, okay, of these two pieces that we were just showing earlier. So we'll set that there. All right, next, the water is going to go through this tray system, and that starts down here, okay? So you can see the water is not gonna come through here, maybe a little bit leaks in here, but most of it's gonna come through the bottom, and it's gonna go up tray 1, 2, and 3. And what you'll find here, so let's remember that this is the last tray, this is the second tray, and this is the first tray. Okay, so that first tray, what do we got in here? We've got a little bit more filtration, a little bit more finer filtration, even a filter floss is in here. Again, this is customizable, so that makes sense. What's happening is Fluval wants all the water to go through here and be as filtered as possible before it hits this biological filtration. That is the goal. You want the water to be as clean as you can so that this becomes just about biological filtration. So then they have that. Okay, so after the water flows through here, then it flows into this. And you'll notice here that the last tray before the water goes back out into the tank is once again a chemical filtration. And what they've offered here is a phosphate stripper and some carbon. And you can see that that again is an option for you, or you could take these out and you could put in some ChemiPure, or you could put in some Purigen. You could take these biospheres out and you could put in these, right? That's where this all becomes customizable. One of the things to note is that when you buy a canister filter, make sure that you open it up and that everything that's in it isn't in a bag. This will not do you any good with your filtration. And it's common that that's the case. Open it up, don't just plug it in and fill it with water, okay? All right, so now we understand how the water flows, what it flows through, why it does it, and how it looks in a canister filter. That said, let's put a canister filter back together in the right order with the materials that we have right here. All right, so we have this Sicce Whale right here, and one of the things that I want you to take a look at is on the top, you'll notice that you have your in and out, but on the bottom here, you've got a slightly different makeup, but the principles are exactly the same. The water is gonna actually flow through this hole and it's gonna come back up here. Now the key on this one is this top goes on like this and it covers that impeller. You see that? So all of the water that flows through the trays we're about to put together is gonna flow through here, whereas all the water that comes in is gonna flow around the outside, come up through the bottom, through our trays and back out the top, all right? So with that in mind, let's put this back together. Water flow. First thing that's got to hit is coarse mechanical. We know that the water is going to come from the bottom to the top, which means that this tray is the bottom. The next thing that's going to happen is we want it to go through this medium mechanical filtration. So that is going to be the next tray that we put on here. So with that, I can put them together. The next thing that's going to happen is it's going to go through biological filtration. So I can put that biological filtration tray on here. We're thinking bottom to the top. On top of this, I can put a little bit of filter floss, and if I wanted to, that's where I could put some chemical filtration. That would just be an add-on. Now that we have that set, we'll put our top on here, and then we can lift it up. We can drop it in. Now take a look. Water is going to come in, flow around the outside of this. You can see that the water is not going to get in here, so it's going to be sucked up under here, and then it's going to go through these trays, come out the top. You put your top on, and there you go. No matter which type of canister filter you get, the principles are always the same, but the one thing that you gotta remember is you need to rinse the media that's in here before you put it in the canister and set it up on your tank, especially carbon, especially resins. But once you do that, as long as you know the water flow direction and you set up your filtration in the right order, you're gonna be good to go.